Hello and welcome to the first of our two-part video summary covering all you need to know about Othello, which is a tragedy by William Shakespeare, believed to have been written in 1603. Always remember that a tragedy refers to a play or a novel where the main character or protagonist is essentially a good and noble person at heart. However, due to a tragic flaw, they make a series of mistakes which ultimately leads to their downfall. Now, Othello fits perfectly into this genre. However, before we get into the details of the play itself, it's first essential to look at context relating to where the play takes place, as well as the key issues it explores at the time. Now, the play takes place in Venice in Italy around the time that Shakespeare is alive. So this is the late 1500s. And Othello was written at around the same time as Hamlet, King Lear and Macbeth, all of which are very famous plays by William Shakespeare. The timing means that the play takes place during the wars between Venice and Turkey in the 1570s. And at that time, race tension was quite prominent, and racism is quite an important theme in this play in particular. Othello is one of the first and arguably only black heroes in Shakespeare's plays, and though we can deduce black, we're never told exactly where he's from. We just know that he's a Moor. Now, when it comes to summary of the play itself, as I've mentioned before, Othello, in terms of setting, takes place in Venice in Italy. Now, it begins with Rodrigo, who's a wealthy man, and he's fighting with Iago. Iago is helping him woo Desdemona in exchange for a very hefty sum. However, Rodrigo has just learned that Desdemona has married Othello, who's a general that Iago works for. Now, Iago reveals to Rodrigo that he hates Othello, who essentially gave a promotion, which Iago was expecting, to another soldier named Michael Cassio. Now, Iago and Rodrigo then anonymously tip off Brabantio that his daughter, who's called Desdemona, was stolen by Othello, and Brabantio gathers officers to go and find them in a rage. The scene shifts to Othello's home, where Cassio comes to tell him that the Turks are invading Cyprus, and Othello goes to speak to the Duke. Brabantio arrives with Rodrigo, and he tells Othello that he has stolen his daughter Desdemona. When he finds him gone, he goes to the Senate to accuse Othello of using witchcraft to woo his own daughter. The Duke and the Senate, however, are very sympathetic to Othello, and Desdemona stands and testifies that he did not use witchcraft to win her over, and that she loves him. The Duke then asks Othello to go to Cyprus, and Desdemona accompanies him. Then the play progresses and switches to Cyprus, where two men are with Montano, the governor of Cyprus. Cassio's ship arrives, followed by Iago, Rodrigo and Desdemona, and they go to the shore to wait for Othello. Cassio speaks to Desdemona, and Iago tells the audience that he will find a way to ensnare Cassio, who he's jealous of. Othello then arrives and announces that the Turks have sank, and they will celebrate that very night. Rodrigo complains to Iago, but Iago assures him that Desdemona will certainly lose interest in Othello, and he warns that he's afraid that she will go for Cassio, though, instead of Rodrigo himself. Iago then tells Rodrigo that he should start a fight with Cassio in order to ruin his image. They then get Cassio drunk, and Rodrigo picks a fight with him. Montano tries to hold him down, but Cassio ends up stabbing him, and Iago sends Rodrigo to raise the alarm. Othello comes and asks Iago how the fight started, and Iago pretends to defend Cassio, but he also says that it was started by him, and therefore Othello strips Cassio of his rank. He demotes him. Cassio then goes to Iago, begging for his help to restore his rank and the trust in Othello. Iago tells him that they will get him back in Othello's good graces through Desdemona. Then Cassio begins speaking to Desdemona, who says she will try to get Othello to reconsider his decision to strip him of his title. Othello sees them talking often and becomes quite suspicious and moody, and Iago suggests that Desdemona and Cassio are having an affair. One day, Desdemona finds Othello unwell at the table, and she offers him a handkerchief, and she drops it and they leave. Emilia, Iago's wife, picks it up, and Iago then decides to plant this handkerchief in Cassio's room, and he tells Othello that he saw it there. This is important because it was a handkerchief that Othello gifted to Desdemona. Othello then goes to Desdemona and demands to see this handkerchief, and she says that she does not have it. Cassio then passes this handkerchief on to a prostitute named Bianca, and he asks her to make a copy of it. Iago tells Othello to hide while he asks Cassio about this affair. Iago asks Cassio about Bianca, but Othello can only hear Cassio laughing and looking happily. So Cassio assumes that he is talking to Iago about Bianca. However, because Iago has mentioned her name so softly, Othello, who's eavesdropping, thinks that they're talking about Desdemona. Bianca then enters with a handkerchief, followed by Desdemona and another soldier who has a letter for Othello, asking him to return home and making Cassio the leader in Cyprus. Othello then strikes Desdemona in a fit of rage. Othello tells Desdemona that she's a whore, and Iago tells Othello that he will ensure Cassio is killed. Iago informs Rodrigo that he must kill Cassio, and he manages only to wound him and runs away. Othello hears Cassio's cry and assumes that he's dead. Iago then finds Rodrigo and murders him, pretending to avenge Cassio. But actually the main reason is that Iago does not want to be discovered in case Rodrigo decides to tell Othello his reasons for wounding Cassio. Meanwhile, Othello goes to kill his sleeping wife Desdemona. She wakes up in their marital bed and begs him to spare her. However, he doesn't listen and he smothers her. Emilia then enters to tell him that Rodrigo is dead and Cassio is safe. Othello then tells Emilia that he killed Desdemona for her infidelity, which Iago showed to him. Iago enters and Emilia realizes what he has done. Emilia tells Othello that she found the handkerchief, and Othello, realizing that he's been deceived by Iago, tries to kill him, but Iago kills Emilia and flees. And when they're all caught and arrested, and the guards say that Othello must go to trial for killing his wife, Othello kills himself and Iago is ordered to be executed. So that's all for now. Remember, this is the first of a two-part video series on Othello. This first section essentially goes over the main and essential elements of the plot as well as context. And do come back for our second video looking at characters as well as key themes and analysis. This is going to be really crucial, particularly if you are sitting Othello as part of your exams or if you're doing a coursework on it. Thank you so much for listening, and if you found this video useful, do give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and also do recommend this to your friends in case they are struggling in this text. Thank you so much for listening.